We're going to spend the morning making our own homemade instant powder mixes. Hello family, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I am Vicki and you're with Grammy in the Kitchen. We're going to make a pancake mix, a cornbread mix, a biscuit mix, a chocolate lava cake mix, and a milk gravy mix. If that's something you're interested in, stick around. It's going to be a great video. But first I need to fill my flour containers because we're going to be using a lot of flour today. I had mentioned before that we are out of flour in our 5-gallon bucket, but we have plenty flour in Mylar bags. And we need to go through those Mylar bags before we buy any more flour to make sure we're keeping a rotation of flour in our pantry. So I went ahead and grabbed a 5-pound and one that I had that's only 3 pounds. And I'm going to go ahead and put them in my kitchen containers. And I do reuse my Mylar bags, and I just make sure I cut it just below that sealed line. That way we can still use it. And now we have 2 kitchen containers filled with flour. We can move on to our first recipe. I would want to store these into half-gallon or gallon-sized jars. I don't have enough. I'm actually going to be putting this in 1-gallon Ziploc bags. We're going to actually write the instructions on what we need to make each one of these recipes on the plastic bag. So the first recipe we're going to make is a biscuit mix. I'm going to put 1 recipe in this bowl, weigh it, so I know what I need to write on my Ziploc bag. So 1 recipe is 2 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a half teaspoon of baking soda, and I do have some powdered buttermilk. We're going to be using that. So we need 3/4 cups of milk, and the buttermilk powder takes 3 tablespoons for 1 cup. Go ahead and put the 3 tablespoons in there. All right, so that's 3 tablespoons. That is it for the dry ingredients. And the only thing we have to add to this, 3/4 cups of water. And that's it. We're using buttermilk. We don't need to do the vinegar. So that's 310 grams with 1 cup of, 3/4 cups of water. And that's it. Now that we know how much we need, we could go ahead and build everything else. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 8 cups of flour. We need 6 teaspoons of baking powder. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need 6 half teaspoons, which is 3 teaspoons of baking soda. I think I forgot the salt. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's whisk this all together. And this is going to be 4 recipes of biscuit mix. Now we're going to put this in our Ziploc bag. And we have one ready. So we're done with the buttermilk powder. And I have the A2A2 milk powder. The next recipe we're going to make is cornbread, but I need to know the weight of one recipe. So a cup of flour, a cup of cornmeal, a half a cup of sugar, a teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and it takes 1 cup of milk, which is a 1/3 cup of our powdered milk. And to this recipe, we need to add a 1/3 cup of butter, a 1/4 cup of honey, and 1 egg. Let me write that down on our plastic bag. And this weighs 475 grams. Let's go ahead and build the rest of it. So we have one recipe. I want to times this by 4. So we're going to put in 3 more cups of flour, 3 cups of cornmeal, 1½ cups of sugar, ½ cup measure, 3 teaspoons of salt, 3 tablespoons of baking powder, and 1 cup of powdered milk. Because it takes 1/3 cup to make 1 cup of milk. We already have 1/3 in here. We need to add 1 more cup. Perfect. Get that whisked all together. And that is 4 recipes of cornbread mix. And on the bag I have the instructions. 475 grams of mix, a cup of water, a 1/4 cup of honey, and a 1/3 cup of butter. And now we have 2 recipes done. Now the next 2 recipes, I don't need to weigh out the individual servings or the individual recipes, because this is more like how big you need it, how small you need it. We're gonna make pancake mix, and we're gonna make a milk gravy mix. That's great with sausage gravy or something like that. This would be by measurements, like a couple teaspoons, a couple tablespoons, with all the ingredients that are needed to add to this recipe. So I'm going to be putting these into mason jars, I think. We'll see how much we end up with first. The first recipe I'm going to make is a pancake mix. So we'll start off with 4 cups of flour, we need 3/4 cups of powdered milk. This is a recipe I've had in the past. 1/3 cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, 1 tablespoon of baking soda, 1½ teaspoon of salt. We're going to whisk that together. Don't think this is going to go in a mason jar, but that's okay. We'll put it in a Ziploc bag. And 1 cup of mix to 3/4 cups of water. That is it. That's all we need for this recipe. Three recipes done. The next recipe we're going to make, it's an instant milk gravy mix. And I think it's time to get another thing of flour out. So 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of powdered milk, quarter cup of cornstarch, 1 tablespoon of salt, one tablespoon of pepper, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, and 1 teaspoon of sage. Let's whisk that together. Perfect. And another recipe done, I wrote on the top milk gravy. So we would take 2 tablespoons of this mix and add it to a cup of milk. You could do water, but milk will make it actually creamier. And the last recipe we're going to make is our chocolate lava cake. Now I'm 4 timesing this recipe, so we're going to start off. First we need to know the weight of one recipe. All right, so one recipe is a cup of flour, 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, 3/4 cups of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and then we need a 1/2 cup of milk, and we're going to put 1/8 cup of powdered milk, and then we will add the 1/2 cup of water. So our base weight, so we need 352 grams, and we need to add a 1/2 cup of water, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Okay, and then top with 1 3/4 cups of hot water. Okay, perfect. So we know what our base is, we can build on this. So we're multiplying by 4, so we need to add 3 more cups of flour. Three-quarter cups of cocoa powder. This is a 1/4 cup measure. One, 2, 3, 3/4 cups of sugar. So 6 teaspoons of baking powder. All right, let's whisk everything together. Powdered milk is in here now, so now we're going to whisk it all together. Before I go any further, I want to clean up my station. We'll be right back. Now the topping for the lava cake, I'm going to put it in individual small sandwich size Ziploc bags just to make it easier to make sure the chocolate chips are evenly distributed. So each one of these is going to get a cup of brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, and a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. I have 2 chocolate chips right here. We're going to mix those. I have a dark chocolate morsel and then a milk chocolate morsel. And we're just going to mix those together for each one. So a cup of brown sugar. Quarter cup of cocoa powder. And a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. Repeat the process 3 more times. I'm going to put the bulk of the lava cake in a clean Ziploc bag with our 4 individual toppings. So lava cake, milk gravy mix, pancake mix, cornbread mix, biscuit mix. So if you're a busy mom or a busy grandmother and you need to get things going without bringing out all the ingredients to make a single recipe, we have them ready. So our biscuit mix, we need 310 grams of this biscuit mix. Add 3/4 cups of water. Do our normal roll, folds, cut, and bake. The cornbread mix, we need 475 grams of the mix. We need to add a cup of water, 1/4 cup of honey, and 1/3 cup of melted butter. The pancake mix, we need 1 cup of mix to 3/4 cups of water. The milk gravy mix, we need a fat, so we'll put a tablespoon of butter in a cast iron skillet. Then we'll add 2 tablespoons of this mix to 1 cup of milk. You can use water because we have milk powder in here, but I think the milk will actually make it more creamy. Milk we always have on hand. So that's something all ready to go. For the lava cake, we need 352 grams of the bulk powder mix. Add a 1/2 cup of water, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And the topping is pre-measured in a Ziploc bag. And we need to add 1 3/4 cups of hot water poured on top. Now that we have all of our mixes ready, we do not have to bring all that stuff out. It's ready to go. If you make your own prepared mixes, what are the things you like? If you want to share your recipe, leave a comment below and share your mixes and the recipe for your mix. This is a community we like to share our knowledge in the kitchen so that we can get more people into preparing homemade meals in their home. If you don't mind, give this video a thumbs up. While you're at it, please subscribe. I will love to have you part of the Grammy family. Right over here, you're going to see 2 videos. Go check those out to the next upload. They're either going to give you a chuckle or inspire you to get into your kitchen and make homemade meals as close to scratch as you possibly can. Get away from the store-bought, prepackaged food and make it yourself, or get the ingredients to do it for each meal, whichever worked best for you. Until next time, y'all have a blessed day. Bye, family.